Hey, it's Christian LaFleur with Yippee-Ki-Yay Nonprofit Solutions, and today we're just going to talk for a few minutes about recruiting board members. Recruiting board members is a challenge that comes up for a lot of founders, and we're asked this question quite often, and we try to answer all of the questions that might come up within the first year or so in that startup phase for any nonprofit. And one of the main questions that comes up is, how do I recruit board members, and how do I articulate the things that I'm asking them to do, and how do I get them to understand the needs? Conversely, there's also the concern about getting good board members, solid board members that eventually can really contribute to the organization. And I'm going to talk about doing this in a stair-stepped or phased way. On your founding board, at the beginning of the recruitment process, the beginning of the nonprofit formation process, you're probably not going to go out and just recruit board members who have large checkbooks or lots of community contacts and influence, etc. And you almost really don't want to. You want to get your act together with your nonprofit prior to stepping up to more serious types of board members. And the way you can do that is by limiting your expectations and creating a founding board of people that have two criteria, two qualities. Number one is they need to be loyal to you. There should be some relationship, and I say personal relationship is the best. These should be friends or people that you've had some association with before that just have a little bit of loyalty to you and have, second criteria, have a basic understanding of what it is you're trying to do. This does not need to be extensive because the things that you're asking the board to do are fairly limited. And those limited things are mainly have a meeting or two in the first year and approve your budget and your activities. Your board members really do not need to be concerned with a lot of other things. They need to approve some formation processes. There should be a unanimous consent resolution signed by the initial board members, or at least heard by the initial board members and signed by your secretary of the organization, authorizing you to do those initial things. Start the 501c3, open a bank account, open a P.O. box, what have you, those formative initial activities that you're going to do to make the organization real. The second thing is that the board members are going to do is be available for a periodic meeting and just agree to do that. Now, we have created a really easy way for you to do this and to get board members to say yes and sort of try on sitting on your board, even if they've never done anything like that, sort of like trying on a pair of pants and seeing if it fits. What you want to do is you want to present two things. You need to present the limited activities that you're asking them to do. So like I just said, approving your basic activities and the initial steps you're going to take to create the organization. And then they really should review the budget. It doesn't need to be very detailed. It can be a high-level line item budget. And that's the other thing that you're asking them to do. That doesn't sound that hard, right? But you need to be ready to tell them that that's what you're asking them to do. The second thing is you should limit the board members' calendar or time period obligation. It's a good idea to have board members serve for 90 days or 6 months at first in a way that you can then, if they're not a good board member and if they don't show up or they're not able to do things in a way that helps the organization move forward, you can nicely and calmly ask them to step off the board because you've got someone else that might be able to take a greater role later on. And so by creating the expectation to begin with that this is going to be a limited time period that you're asking them to help, then you can always renew it, or you can say, thank you so much for this 3 or 6 months or whatever the period was. I really appreciate your effort, and we're now going to bring somebody else onto the board. And Yippee-Ki-Yay has created a document, a one-page board recruitment document that outlines those two things, what you're asking them to do and how long you're asking them to do it. And this is going to get people to say yes to serving on your board. It's going to enable you to get that third board member. If you're having some trouble getting a board member, getting somebody to commit, this makes that a lot easier. And it also reduces the risk on both parties' part. Because one of the main reasons that someone would say no to serving on your board is not because they don't like you or because they don't want to serve. It's because they don't have any idea how big or far-reaching this can be, or they don't have any understanding of the liability that they might be incurring. And so you can explain in this document that they're not incurring any liability as a director. That's why you have a corporate structure. It's why you form a nonprofit corporation and eventually file for 501c3, that tax status to be placed on that entity is because that creates what's called a corporate veil, or just protection around the organization that generally the directors and the players, the staff, are insulated from being sued because somebody's walking into your building and falls down. They can sue the organization, but they can't sue the individuals behind it. Now, if there's negligence or other things, of course, there are legal ways that corporate veil can be pierced, but generally, this is why you form a nonprofit corporation or any entity instead of just running it through your own self personally. And it's why we strongly recommend people take us up on our instant nonprofit package and get their 501c3 from idea to IRS approval so that they can have that protection. And so that's about all there is to it, to recruit a board member just to get your organization up and running. And we're going to make that document available to you somewhere on this page where you can download a link or the document itself. And I hope that's helpful. This question comes up all the time, and we're going to continue to answer other questions and provide downloads and tools and tips and tactics so that your job of making the world a better place can be much easier and you can stay focused on your mission. That's what we want here, and I hope to see you soon and share some more information and valuable content with you. Take care.